Okay, so I hope you are able to see my screen also, right? Can anyone confirm? Just any one person.
Yes, sir.
Fine. So as I mentioned, see, basically, whenever as a team, if you are working on any project or any module, we should always keep our code should be shareable to each other, and that should be more consistent in the some place. Let's take example. Take an example of e-commerce website. Okay, you started working off. Let's take customer module. Okay, customer component. Out in that customer module, let's take we gather the requirements like the customer requires like registration, login, change password, forget password, log out, and update profile. Let's assume that these 6 activities we consider as a customer management or customer profile management. Okay, so now in this case, totally 6 activities, if only single developer will do, it will take lots of time, right? So in real time, as a team, we will do the entire work. Now let's take example, there will be a 4 developers. Assume that one developer is working on registration and login, one developer is working, let's take update profile, and one developer is working on change password and forget password, and another custom developer working on, let's take backend services. Just assume that. Okay, now in this case, individually you are developing the respective functionality in your laptop. Okay, if you talk about individual, you are just working on login, not the other functionality. If you talk about the second developer, he's only working on registration. Now simply if you say individually, it doesn't make any sense of application. It will only create a task, or I can say the functionalities. But as a customer, he want entire application as a whole. It's not like part by part he want, or it doesn't want piece by piece. Now before deliver to the customer, what are the 6 activities we planned? Once the 4 developers completed the 6 activities in the respective local laptops, then we have to merge all these 6 laptop code, I mean this 4 laptops code into one place, and that final code we have to showcase to the customer. That is what he is expecting, the final output like registration, login, entirely he can operate on the application. So for that, basically for that requirement, we should always keep on merge our code into the one mission where our all 4 laptop code should be there. Okay, so for that we should use a concept called version control system. Okay, so I can say that a common repository. Repository means just imagination, it's a simple storage. Okay, a common storage where it will be distributed to multiple people. Let's take multiple developers, so that everyone can push his code. I mean to say, he can put his changes into the repository, and also he can get the latest changes from the repository. Let's take example, we'll take a simple example. There are 2 developers, A developer, B developer. Now A developer started working on function 1, B developer started working on function 2. Okay, now once A developer completed the work, he will push the code, I mean to say store the code into the repository. Now similarly, B developer also, once he completed, he will also push the code into the repository. Now the next day, once they will start, now repository has 2 functions, F1, F2, right? Now once they want to get the code, they can get the latest code where it consists F1 and F2, and they can start working on F3, F4 instead of working on the local missions. Okay, so just I will explain visually also, you can maybe understand. See, let's take example. Yeah, let's consider here there is a one person. Okay, he is using one laptop. Okay, let's take developer 1, and developer 2, he is using second laptop. Let's take he is developer 1. Okay, let's take he is developer 2. Okay, so now assume that developer 1 started working on registration. Okay, he started registration, and developer 2 started working on, let's take login. Okay, assume that developer 1 completed his work, developer 2 completed his work. Assume the further day 1. Now day 2 starting. Okay, now if we want to do the testing of the registration, this whatever the code D1 develop, he has to copy that code through mail or pen drive, whatever it is, he has to put this code into this mission. Similarly, if he want to use the login, the same process again he has to do the D1. Okay, let's take, they did manually the same process, they copied it to a pen drive and they put it into the respective laptop, they started work. Assume that. Now day 2, okay, they started, let's take he working on forgot password, okay, let's take he worked on change password, assume that, okay, now the new different functionality. Now again in day 2, again once this forgot password completed, again this person developer to need to copy this code manually into D2, and similarly change password he has to copy manually. So if you see the basic drawback, after developing each developer into the respective laptop, if they want to share the code to other machines, they need to do manually copy the code, okay. So this is the first drawback, every time they have to do manually, and again they need to put this code into respective folder structure where they are working, and they need to configure properly, then only the code will be worked out. So it's a big manual tedious process, it is always consuming the time, and also there is no guarantee always the code will work by copy pasting the through pen drive, okay. So this is the first drawback when we are doing manual transfer the code from one machine to another machine. And second problem, let's take a case called they are developing the code fine, let's take unfortunately the D1 machine corrupted, somehow it is deleted, or C drive will be collapsed, whatever, something happened, okay. By that point, whatever the code we have in the D1, that will be collapsed. So that we don't have any backup, we don't have any other copy of the D1 mission. So again the whatever the code D1 developed, again it has to develop from the scratch. So there is no concept of backup and recovery when you do the manual transfer from the one system to another system. This is another drawback when we are using manual transfer. And the third one, when we want to deploy this whole code as into the server, as I already just now mentioned, we want to show the output to the customer as a whole system, it's not like part by part. Now at that time this entire code needs to merge into single server, so it's taking a lot of time to merge the entire code. Once it is increasing a few days, like maybe a couple of days or 1 week or 1 month. So that's why industry or experts come up with a solution called, why can't we maintain a common repository or a shareable repository where the developers can maintain their code and they can easily transfer their code. So that is how this version control system came into the picture, okay. So now the same work how they will do we using this version control will explain now, okay. Now let's take example same way, let's take this is developer one, okay. Let's take it is developer 2, okay. Now similarly he started with registration, okay, and he started with login. Let's assume that he completed his code and he completed his code. Now what happened, you see now instead of manually copy the code from D1 to D2 or D to D1, they will create a common repository, okay, where the all the code will be available. Now once the developer one completed writing the code for registration, he will transfer the code automatically to this particular repository using a software, okay, using a, we can say, the tool, using one tool he will transfer that code to this machine. Similarly, once D2 completed login, he will also transfer this code to this memory only, okay, by using the same tool what D1 using, okay. Now if you observe that this particular place, whatever the common repo we have created here, it is having both D1 and D2 code, okay, both D1 and D2 code. Now once the both codes will be there in this machine, now again D1 will retrieve the latest code from the respective repository. Similarly, D2 also will retrieve the latest code from the repository. Now just imagine, already here both R and L is there, right? Now once they retrieved back the latest, now D1 getting R and L, similarly D2 getting L and R. So both are getting automatically. You don't require to manually copy paste or something, you don't require. It will take care, this repo will take care the merging part, okay. Now let's assume that he started, as I mentioned, forgot password, okay, and he started with change password. So now same process, now he will push this code to repo and he will push his code, okay. Again after pushing both of them, they will get latest copy. Now both are having all the code what they're having. So this is how the concept of repository will work in the real time. So now this repository, whatever we have in the what do you call the storage, right? So for this only one of the example is GitHub. Okay, so GitHub is the one of the repository where you can store multiple projects and multiple code bases as a team. Okay, now I mentioned you, right, the tool which will help us to do the communication from our local laptop or machine to the repository. So that tool only we called Git. The tool name is called Git. Okay, here two things we have, Git and GitHub. Git is a tool or software which will help us to communicate, or we can say send the code or receive the code from a repository, we call Git. Whereas GitHub is a repository or a memory where we can store our data. So both are different. GitHub is a storage, Git is a software. Okay, so these two collectively we used in real time to maintain our code repository effectively and efficiently. Okay, so this concept only we call version control system, VCS. Basically version control system means whatever the code day by day we are developing, whatever the code we are day by day increasing, so that all code bases will keep on maintaining this particular VCS concept. Okay, so that is how the Git and GitHub VCS came into the picture in the market. But along with us, there is so many options also, like along with GitHub is open source, that's why most of the people are using. But similar that paid source is there, Bitbucket is there, Bitbucket, and also there is a GitLab is there. These are all paid sources. Okay, similarly version control systems also, as like Git we have SVN is there. So these are some other paid softwares, but Git and GitHub open sources which are available in the market. That's why 99% of companies are using these two concepts in the market to maintain the version control systems. So I hope you understand the case study what I'm explaining. Okay, so now we go for a few concepts on the theoretical. Okay, so now as I mentioned just now, I explained in the paint, the same approach here I explained. See that how the Git process will happen. See, this is the Git remote server or Git repository. Okay, so there the multiple developers can communicate at a time, and they can share the code, and they can retrieve the code from the repository same time, so that all these three developers will maintain the same code in all their local laptops. So we have consistent code for all the developers, and it is easy to transfer the code from one machine to another machine. Let's take in this case only, consider three developers are working. Now we are recruiting third, fourth developer. Now he doesn't need to go for the each developer to collect the latest code. He's just give a request to the Git. The Git will give you the latest code from all the three developers, what they so far developer, he will get on the fraction of minutes. So that is the beauty of this particular version control system or Git. Okay, and that is what I just explained. So version control, what do you mean by version control system, and what the help of the version control system just explained. So that is what I figured out here. I will share this PPT, you can go through that. Okay, and what is the main advantage? That is what I mentioned. It will save the time. Offline working, that means you keep on recovery backup option will be there, and undo mistakes is very important. So if you did some mistake, we have an option called undo. That means we can revert the changes from the Git. You don't mess up the code, and we can keep on track the changes, like who deployed the changes and who did the what functionality, and from which system the code came just before. Such kind of all history we can track using this particular version control system. Okay, and as I mentioned, so version control system, to the next what we have, version control system is one of the example I mentioned, Git. Now to that we had a repository called GitHub, right? So that is where we can store our data. So if you see here, this is our development workstation, our laptop, our desktop. This is our local repository, means in our local hard disk we'll store our data, right? So from there generally we'll store our code into central repository, that is code management tool. Okay, so where we will maintain the one remote Git repository where our all the team code will be sustained there. Okay, so that we will keep on interact with this particular two missions, like local mission to global remote mission, similarly remote mission to local mission. This communication will be happen frequently by using Git, using some commands like push and pull. And basically what is the best practice while you are developing or while you are working as a developer means, one is you have to push the code frequently, as I just now mentioned. Instead of keep the code 1 week or 2 weeks in your mission, do the regular basis. By that only one new term came into the picture. If you listen that, CI/CD means continuous integration, continuous development. What this word is indicating means, whenever you develop anything any day, please do immediately push into the remote repository. Don't maintain the code for a long time in the local repository. That is very bad practice. Whenever you did some functionality, immediately push that code into remote, so that other people can take that latest code, they can start working on it. And also, if the same functionality, if required any other teammate, they can consume it. No need to write again this other mate. So that is the major advantage. And we can give our tracking history messages, and we can maintain the versions, and also we can use multiple branch concepts. That means for each person we can create a local branch, and for each component we can create a branch. So such kind of practices we can do in the SCM. And just before, as I mentioned, so to do this entire process, we will use two things. One is Git, another one GitHub. Okay, so Git is a popular version control system. It was used to maintain our code bases continuous manner, like that is what we call continuous development and continuous integration. Okay, so it will majorly help us to track the changes, to maintain the code consistently for the entire team, and backup and recovery option. That all purpose we are using Git. And coming to the what is GitHub, so GitHub is not same as Git, as I mentioned, right? So GitHub makes the tools that use Git. That means it is a kind of storage, a repository, where it will use the Git to communicate with the local missions. Okay, and one more major difference I will tell you. Git is a software, GitHub is a website. Clearly, what do you call it? Differ yourself. Git is a software. Okay, GitHub is a website. GitHub, where we will maintain our code, where that means it is a storage. Git is a software which will use it to communication between local repository to global repository. Like if you see the screen, here we have two repositories. One is our local mission, another one central repository. So to do the communication between these two mission repositories, we will use a software called Git, basically. Okay, and this all keep aside. And now I will show you like how to install the Git and how to register with a GitHub. So the next class where I will show you like how to do this communication, as just now I mentioned, like how to create a repository, how to take that into our mission, and how to give our changes to central. That I will tell you in the next class. But in this class I will show you how to install the Git, and you may start installing. And similarly also tomorrow and tomorrow also we are planning for environment setup on like Java and Python software installation. Okay, and before going to installation part, so I will give a break for your clarifications. So if you have any doubt, please ask me. Hello, any doubts, any questions as of now? Okay, I'm taking as a no. So now I'm showcasing you to how to go for Git and GitHub. See that? So first I'm showing Git. Okay, so this is the software which will use it for version control system communications. Okay, so click on this Git, and as we know, so here if you see, there is an option called download for Windows. Please observe that and whatever the installations we will tell these 3 days, today, tomorrow, day after tomorrow, please make sure that these are all available in your mission, because while we are starting project coding part, we will use the softwares keep on repeatedly. So if you are still facing the issue, anyway I will send the recording videos for all these 3 continuous classes. But still, if you're facing the issue while you're installing, you will feel free to come to the office and make it sure that you have to do that part by this weekend only. Okay, so that Monday onwards we are going for project classes along with our regular theory class. Okay, so what is my request? Please try to install all the things by seeing the videos and classes. If you're not able to follow, if you're not able to finish that, please visit the office and finish that by taking the help of the any developer. Okay, so now, but it's easy, nothing more complicated. So now first you have to click on download for Windows. It will install the, the download the latest version. Okay, so now it will show you all the options, like whether you want 32-bit or 64-bit or which one you want. So based on that you can choose it. So I'm taking click here to download the latest version only. So I'm taking the click here to download. So it will download the Git. See, if you observe, the Git is started here. Okay, so once it is installed, the downloaded successfully, just double click on that. It will open for installation. This is straightforward. Go with the default options, nothing to configure much more in the Git. Just click on next only. That's very straightforward installation process. Okay, so just if you click on, it will give a pop-up confirmation. So please wait till the time. Yeah, so now you have to click on S. Once you got the pop-up to confirm whether you want to install Git, you have to just click on S, so that it will give another window where it will show you all the options. Like if you see, before going to further, I'm just asking you people, are you following and are you able to see my screen? Yes. Okay, great. So now if you see, there is a install button you are getting now. Okay, just click on install. Yes, see here. So it's showing that completing the Git wizard. So that's it. You don't require to do anything. Just click on finish. Okay. So this is the simplest way of installing. It doesn't take much time. Also, hardly within 1 or 2 minutes, it will be get installing in your machine. Please try to do immediately. Maybe after the call, you can start immediately. Okay. But to confirm whether it's really installed properly in your machine or not, open the command prompt. Okay. CMD prompt, and simply you can type git hyphen version. So this is the command you can execute, so that it will show the which version you install your machine. So it will match the install version. See that 2.47.0. See here it's showing 2.47.0. So it means the git is installed successfully. Okay, the first task completed, git installation. Okay, so anyone have any doubt in this git installation? So any doubts in this? Still the point? Anybody send any messages? Sir, can you please take class in YouTube live because it take less data consumption? Okay, let me try in that case. Okay, I will try to maybe next two classes will go with WebEx only. Okay, maybe Monday onwards I will try to do that live streaming through YouTube. How it will work, I will see. Okay, but meanwhile we can these 3 days I will go with the same WebEx only. Okay, yeah. Any other questions or any other doubts as of now? Okay, fine then. So first part completed, right? Now the second part, as I mentioned, GitHub. So coming to the GitHub, you don't require to install anything. As I mentioned already, it's a website. Okay, so you know, right? Website means we have to register, not to log in any. Not to install anything. We have to register and keep your credentials handy. That is the next task we have to do for our next class. So for our next class, you all people should register the website in the GitHub, and you have to keep the user ID and password handy, so that will be used for our communication basically. Okay, so now simply you can click on sign up. It's a very traditional process. I think you people doesn't need this kind of explanation, but still, see, I'm just showcasing for your understanding. So this is the link I'm using. So here I'm using my mail ID. Okay, let's take one second. But the mail should be it should be your mail ID, because it will send the one that validation message also, verification mail. Okay, yeah. So I'm using my mail ID. So this is the first, you have to give your mail ID and click on continue, and then obviously password. Okay, you can give your own password. I given my own password and I'm clicking on continue. Enter username. See, it's giving a suggestion like my ID as a user ID. If you want, you can change, but I'm going with the same one only. But see, unfortunately, my user ID, with that ID is not available. So we can go to any other options. Let's take, I will go 9. Yeah, I will go with, in that case, 1990. Yeah. It is available. Okay, 1990. I'm going as a user ID. So now you can click on continue. So receive occasional product updates and assignments. I don't want any updates from that, so I don't want to check this, and I'm clicking on continue. So it's verifying your account, and it will create an repo. That instance. So please be wait for that. Once till that done. Yeah. So protecting your account, please solve the file. It's giving some file. What is the file? Okay. So use the arrows to change the number of objects until it matches the left image. What it means? Okay, two images. Huh? Okay, here two are there, but how the keys will match? It is different. It is four are there. Match this. Okay, I will go with it. Maybe we can try. Okay, three, three, but I think this one. Yes. Yeah. Okay, done. So now after verification, it will navigate to code as I mentioned, right? So basically, when you are navigate to your, I mean that whatever the email you given, it will send a one-time verification code. So that you have to enter here. So for me, I'm entering my one. Yes, see, your account was created successfully. Please sign in to continue. So it's giving username or email address. Similarly, password. So I'm just click on sign in. So now it's giving a kind of road hub. If you want, you can remove. I mean that you can skip it, or it's up to you. How would you describe yourself? Student, teacher, working developer, and other. Let's take I'm taking as a working developer. And how many team members will be working with you? Let's take I'm taking 5 to 10. So like that, you can choose any random number, or you can take student or anything. So what to the top things you are going to be working with? Obviously, connect with other developers. Yeah, start new project and connect with developers and open source projects. This is what I want to do. Continue. Where are the two things you want to? Oh, so it's done, right? You can only select two. Okay, then I can go with connect with other developers and start new project. I will go. Okay. Yeah, that's it, right? So now you see it is showing two options. One is the team level and the on free level. Okay, so team will be paid source. So let's take here is showing 4,000 per month, but I just want to go with continue for free. Okay, so where just giving see that 15 GB of storage and 15,500 package, so something we given. So this is enough for our regular practice purpose. Don't require for paid version. Okay, click on continue for free. That's it. Okay. So now it is setting up the GitHub and is giving the all the environment for us. Yeah. So our environment is ready for our working nature. See, this is my account. Okay. So likewise, you people also please try to create a Git and GitHub so that whatever the next topics I may cover with respect to Git, you can understand easily, and maybe you can start practice from your side also. Okay. And also one more major why I started this Git means for your internship. Mostly no other people will give you this insight of Git and GitHub as part of internship. Why I covered means it will very helpful for you three areas. One area, you can browse the GitHub for any repository or any projects or any open source projects that you can search. And the second thing, you can also use this platform for showcase your work. Let's take example, you did a one project. Now you can push that code into Git and you can share that link to any interview or any person who want to see your work through internet, through this site only. Don't no need to manually send through OneDrive or Google Drive or something. And the last thing, you can also keep digital resume over here and you can send that resume link to anybody who required your resume. So for that purpose, it will be very helpful. And if you're habituate GitHub, it is an add-on to your resume as a fresher. Okay. So that's why I'm covering as part of internship this concept also. Okay. So for today, please have look on that PPT which I will share with you in the what you call group. And after that, try to install the Git and try to register and login into the GitHub and keep the credentials handy. And the next class, I will continue the Git classes, but tomorrow, I mean, the upcoming 3 to 4 days, we are only giving a focus on installation, not the theory class. Theory class will be on the Monday. So tomorrow we are going for installing, and day after tomorrow also we are going for installation. Two sets of softwares. One is Python, another one Java. So after that we'll go with other topics. Okay, so tomorrow I will also schedule 2:30 to 4 o'clock, 1.5 hour session I will schedule. Please keep engaged with the class and try to install all the software if possible within the call itself. Or if you still, I told you, right, feel difficult, I will share the recording video. Though if you're feeling difficult, you can happily come to the office and take the support of developer and you can complete the installation. Okay, but make sure that by this weekend everyone should have all the softwares whichever required for our project development, including Git. Okay, so any last minute questions? So this is for today. So any last minute questions, you can ask me now. Okay, that's great. Have great rest of the day. Do the practice. Yeah, so I will send this recording today itself. Okay, yeah, sure. Thanks all of you. Bye bye, take care.